How's it going, everyone? My name is Tremaine Hayho, and here we're going to talk to you about Bird Box. Bird Box. Choop, choop, choop. Well, what is that? How's it going, guys? So I saw Bird Box last night. Everyone has been talking about Bird Box. I've seen all of the memes, and they're amazing. And so I finally got around to watching the Sandra Bullock starred Bird Box extravaganza on Netflix. And here are my thoughts on Bird Box. So I watched it last night, and it is very creepy, very eerie, if you will. A lot of people are comparing The Happening to Bird Box and Bird Box to The Happening. A lot of people say that Bird Box is phenomenal, is really good. Everyone's talking about this. Other people are saying that it is terrible and it is just as bad as The Happening. Now, without giving too much away, we're going to, at the first bit, talk about the movie overall, what I thought about it, the strengths, the weaknesses of it, and then on the second half, we're going to talk about spoilers. So I'll let you guys know when we're going to talk about spoilers, so then I don't spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it. But apparently, a lot of people have seen it. So the goods. So first off, Sandra Bullock is a very interesting role. It's like Sandra Bullock's always Sandra Bullock in her roles. You know, like she's a great actress, but she's not exactly known for her range. I'm sorry, Sandra, but that's pretty true. But in this one, she was a bit different because she's a bit more cold. She's a bit more shut off for the world. She's a bit more keeping to herself. And so that was interesting seeing that. But she still has the Sandra Bullock personality. She's still got that natural charm. And she's really good as a leading lady. The tone of it is pretty good. It's pretty creepy. You know, it's very eerie. You could put yourself in this situation, and it's supposed to be an apocalyptic end of the world scene. If you guys don't know the story, essentially people start killing themselves. They don't know how or why it's all happening, but it's happening all over the world, and all of a sudden it happens. You know, it starts off happening way on the other side of the world, and now it starts happening in her own hometown. So, and all hell breaks loose. So, without going into further detail about it, it was a very well-made movie. It kept me on the edge of my seat. Like, I didn't know what was happening next. You want to know what's happening next. You have all these characters put together in one situation, and you have the token like asshole. You've got the token idiot. You've got people that are just there. So you have all those standard characters. So you have all these standard characters, and so you're put in this town, you see this situation, and it is another. I mean, we've all seen these Armageddon, end of the world type movies, but it was a really cool, interesting take on it. It was a monster movie where you don't know really what the monster is. You know, it's going to be hard to review it without actually talking about all of it. I'm gonna get quick with this review, non-spoiler. Then I'll get into just talking about the details of the movie. Overall, I felt the tone of the movie was very good, very well acted. There were parts that were like, okay, it's a parody of itself type thing. Like, this deserves to be parodied. A lot of it was kind of a joke. But other parts, like tonally, it was very frightening, very creepy, very eerie. It wasn't perfect, but it was a lot of fun. And as far as movies go, it was really good. It was a very, very solid movie, very entertaining. I believe it's 2 hours, 15 minutes. I didn't want it to end, but I wanted it to end at the same time, if that makes any sense. Like, I wanted it to keep going, but then it put me in this weird state where I'm like, okay, I'm done with this type movie. I wanted to know what happens, and I wanted to kind of end. So it left you wanting more, which is good with a film. So overall, I give this movie a 4 out of 5. So an 8 out of 10. Very solid performances, well acted, well written. Very, very cool concept. It's not entirely new, but it was a new, fresh take on it. So I do recommend watching this movie. Don't watch it if you're sensitive to, suicide and stuff like that, because it was a pretty dark subject matter. It's a pretty dark movie, so it's not. Don't watch it if you're trying to be, if you're trying to be cheered up at all or anything like that, because it'll probably do the opposite unless you have no soul, which that may be the case. So that's it. 4 out of 5, 8 out of 10. I do recommend. Check it out. Give it a gander. What did you guys think? Leave that in the comments below. But now I'm going to talk a little bit more into further detail, talk about more of the things. What I didn't really like about it, and what I liked about it at the same time, is the fact that you don't see the monster. You don't really see the monster. You see these shadows and stuff like that, which adds to the mystery, but then you still never find out what it actually is. They kind of touch on it. So it's that I always like the stories where it's a complete mystery. They don't show you what it is. You know, but then at the end they show you, right? Like typically at the end they show you what it is. You find out what it is, and then the story ends, which is cool. Like I like that. Like keep it all mysterious until the very end, and then you could show the creature. You could make some explanation and then end the movie. But for this, there was no explanation. They just ended the movie. Which is pretty frustrating. It was scary, the fact that you never see what it is, but it was like shadows and wind and stuff, which a lot of people have been comparing this to The Happening, where essentially it's just wind blowing and people, it's like, okay, the wind blowing isn't necessarily scary, guys. But they did it in this movie a lot better. It was like a way better executed film, The Happening, where The Happening had a really good concept, really good idea of maybe it was some kind of nature kind of fighting back at humans, right? But it's not really the case for this one. It was, maybe there were demons, maybe they're dark creatures, they hint at it's Armageddon, end of the world type thing, but you don't know for sure. You don't know if that's what it is or if it's an alien being or what it is. The stuff that really scared me were the people that it didn't affect, but it did affect at the same time. Like that took a little while, where they said, "Oh yeah, these people, these were people, but they weren't people at the same time." Like, because normally if you're infected by the thing, you kill yourself almost right away. But there's these other people that they're affected by it, but they don't die, and they seem normal. But then all of a sudden, there's something's off, and then they want you to look at the light. Now that shit, that was freaky. That was like really freaky. They let the one guy in, and they're like, "Don't let him in, don't let him in." Okay, John Malkovich. I thought his character was brilliant. I loved his character. He plays the asshole in the movie, and he's like, "No, don't let this guy in. What are you guys thinking?" He's not wanting to let anyone in. He's drinking a bunch. I thought he was very entertaining, very cool. And I sided with him most of the time. Like, I'm like, damn, if this was end of the world, you're at the grocery store, you got all this alcohol, I'd be drinking too. Like, damn. And then when he's like, don't let this guy in, let's check him out before. And the guy that comes in, when they let him in, he's like avoiding eye contact. He's really acting pretty sketchy, but he seems normal enough. And I was like, you should not let this guy in. You should keep, they should have had some kind of protocol with new people, maybe keep them off in the distance or lock them away, maybe lock him in the garage for a minute. Like, hey, you can come in, but we got to make sure that you're okay first. And that was really creepy when he started pulling out the drawings, and you see kind of what these things are, but they were really just dark images of demons, essentially, which I guess that's what the bad guy is. Cons of the movie, that there's always those movies that are annoying, annoying as heck, like, but I understand why they're put there. For instance, the other pregnant girl, the overweight pregnant girl, she was extremely annoying, but she was kind of there to serve that purpose, because she said, I want to let this guy in, because she let in that guy who ended up killing everybody, aside from the two, of course. She's like, well, I know what it was like. She goes, I know what it was like to be on the other end. So it's like, okay, I can kind of see that. I can sympathize by that. But then because you know that it goes flashes forward and flashes back, you know that she's going to die because there's two kids. There's two girls that are pregnant at the same time. She's going to have a boy, Sandra Bullock's character. So you know that the lady was going to die. But I really like that. I like how it told two stories at the same time. You see where she's at now, and then you see how she got there. And I love that. I really like how they did that. It was going back and forth. Aside from because other movies like Pulp Fiction where they jump from a bunch of different storylines all at the same time and then they all merge, which that's cool too. I'd like the two storylines of in the future and then in the past, and then they each catch up with each other. I really like that aspect. That was really cool, really well done. Again, it's not something that's entirely new, but the way they did it, the way they executed it was really good. Some of the bad things about it were again, like it seems to be a parody of itself at times. Like they're like, what are you gonna name your baby? And all I'm thinking is Sandra Bullock is gonna be like, my baby's name's gonna be Armageddon, or like mine's End of the World, or mine's Satan. It's like what? And then she goes, well, I want my baby to be named Cinderella and maybe call her Ella, or it could be Jasmine, saying all the Disney princesses and everything. So I think that character, though, was put there to really annoy Sandra Bullock's character, who's very, like, matter of fact, like, get things done, not be sympathetic, not be emotional. But she did have that emotional side. She did have that soft spot. And then you see more of that towards the end. And so, speaking of the end, so at the very end, when they finally get to the center and they're at the blind people's place, like, I was expecting it to turn, like, I'm like, oh no, like, is this a real place? Because you don't know. They got the radio signal. They're like, okay, well, we're pretty much out of food. I don't know what to do. There's these guys on our tail. We don't really have another choice. But it seemed so non-legit. The guy's like, yeah, just go down the river. You're going to have to see. Someone's going to have to look while you're going down the river. That seems super dodgy. It seemed like, okay, yeah, fall into this trap, go down the river, fall into this trap, or drown, or something. It didn't seem like a legit call for help. So then you don't know, and that's what I liked about it, is like, you don't know if it's legit. She doesn't know if it's legit. It ends up being legit, but she goes through that final barrier of where, in most movies where there's the climax, there's the final fight with the ultimate evil versus the ultimate good. She ends up surviving. Her kids survive, which is cool. And then she sees the doctor that delivered her baby, which that was nice too. It was sweet. It was kind of a sweet ending, but they're all stuck there. It's like, I don't know how they're getting food. I don't know what they're doing. They said there's a compound, but there's not that much detail. And then it ends. I wish we could have seen more, or there could have been more of an explanation. At the same time, probably no explanation would have been good, because they could have been like, oh, these are the demons from Earth that were submerged when the big earthquake happened, and it could be like, okay, well, all right, they're just demons that just submerged. You can't really. It's hard when you show the monster, then it becomes less scary. So it played into the fact of why it was so scary, not seeing the monsters, not knowing what they are. At the same time, it was frustrating because you don't see them and you don't know what they are. So they could have been anything. So again, it was a great idea. It was well executed. When they see the thing, their eyes get all weird. Like, that was really freaky. It was super freaky with that one guy. When the one guy comes in and kills everyone, it's like, hey, you need to see this light. Just go see it. Like, that was so freaky. And he's like opening that one lady's eyes, like making her see. That was so creepy. So that was very effective. I think people are pretty 50-50 with this film. Like, they either think it's really good or they think it's really terrible. I think people that think it's really terrible want to see more. They need more of an explanation. They want to see what the heck this monster is, and they want a bit more answers. People that really liked it just kind of felt with the tone of it and were pretty freaked out at the time. I'm a combination of both, but I'm leaning more towards the people that were into the movie, that felt the tone, that were into the characters. You do care about these characters, and that was really cool. Like, there were some characters that really annoyed you. For me, like the mom, like the other mom, annoyed the crap out of me, but you really feel for her because she's just having this baby, and then this guy comes in and is like, hey, let me see your child. You know, it's like, that's really freaky, and you really side with her on that. And of course, now she's a new mom and everything. That scene was, that scene gives me chills. I really like John Malkovich's scene. I really like the friend that was in the movie Get Out. I think it was his character name was Charlie in this one. He was really good. He was writing this story about Armageddon. It was almost like, well, you could just document what's going on here, you know. So again, it was a very bleak movie. Like, there was humor, but there was humor in it. There were parts where you laugh out loud because it is funny, but it is a very serious tone. A lot of people die in it. So it's kind of, you know, then the ending is happy, but it's not really that happy because so many people die in it. But yeah, overall though, I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with this one. I do recommend watching it. Apparently 47 million people saw it within the first weekend of it coming out, which that's astounding. That's really impressive. And then like the people that saw the light that weren't affected by it, but were getting other people to look at the light, it didn't click on me because I saw this with my mom, and she goes, oh yeah, the insane people were pretty scary. And then it's like, oh yeah, that's right, because the guy mentioned the people that left the insane asylum were the ones that see the light but aren't affected by it the way everyone else is. Instead, they are the ones that are trying to get everyone else to see the light so they can kill themselves. So that was really freaky. And those characters at the end, when Sandra Bullock's husband comes out, and there's like 6 or 7 of these insane people that are trying to get him to see the light. Like, that was so freaky. That scene was so creepy. Just people that are off insane trying to get you to see this light so you can kill yourself. Like, that was really freaky, really well done. There was that one guy from The Dark Knight, who was the part where he played the Joker decoy. That guy was really creepy. And he was really good. Even though he was in it very briefly, he did a really good job. You guys probably know who I'm talking about. If you don't, look it up. But yeah, overall, again, Bird Box, I was into it the whole time. I was freaked out. It was creepy. Didn't quite have the answers. Yeah, there were some characters that did some really stupid things, but at the same time, I could definitely see all that stuff happening. And I thought it was really well made. So my hat is off to Sandra Bullock and the people that made it, and Netflix and everything. You guys did a great job. Great job. Check out Bird Box. Let me know what you think. What did you guys think of it? Leave that in the comments below. Any other movie you think I should review? Let me know in the comments below, and I just might review it. All right, guys, hit this like button if you like this video. Oh, and by the way, guys, this movie review is sponsored by the movie The Bachelor Party, which should be out on Amazon Prime by the end of this week. Probably by the time you guys see this movie or video, unless you see it today, which is Wednesday or Thursday. Unless you see it today, it should be out by Friday the 11th. So if it's Friday the 11th or past that, go watch The Bachelor Party on Amazon Prime. If it's before that, go watch Rideshare on Amazon Prime. That's the first movie that I made, but we made a second movie called The Bachelor Party. It's an over-the-top comedy. I think you guys will like it a lot. If you guys like horror movies, though, watch Rideshare. That's on Amazon Prime. That is more of a dark comedy suspense. I think you guys might like it. Check it out, and I will see you soon. Bye.